You know, it's we don't win games like this very often this year, where it's kind of a grinded out slugfest. You know, where we don't shoot it well, we don't turn it over. But I think, you know, we played Butler twice, and neither game we shot it well from three. In both games we turned it over. So I think you got to give some of the credit to Butler. Now, we made some foolish mistakes that we have to clean up, and our guys are aware of that. But we found a way to win kind of an ugly game, and we did it with defense. We did it with rebounding and a little bit of toughness getting to the floor first. So I'll talk about the pink out portion of it later, but a really good win for us. You know, we got off to an awful start, and you know, we got ourselves back in the mix. So we just got to keep fighting.
Questions for the student athletes first.
Sean Davion, I guess. Seems like a lot of toughness plays at the end of the game. Just how much of that is, I think we asked you before, but it's starting to become just like instinctual in terms of just when you see it, go after it type of deal?
Yeah, pretty much it's always the first person to the floor is pretty much is going to be the team that's going to come out and win it first. So our what do you say? Like our thought and like our game plan was always to be the toughest, no matter what. That's pretty much what we need to do from now on. That's what we're always going to do, and we're just going to keep doing that from now on.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely become instinctive because, I mean, we're doing it every day in practice now. So now it's just becoming a habit, which is a good thing for us. A lot of our guys hustled tonight, got on the floor first, so credit to them, and it turned out giving us the victory.
Yeah, Tyshawn, I think you got on the floor once there.
I was the only one, I think.
He must have tripped.
The defensive intensity did seem to really pick up in the second half. Was there anything that you could point to spark that, or is that just as the game flowed, you guys?
Yeah, it definitely did, and people make the mistake of like isolating one guy, saying like, "Oh, he had a great day defensively," but really, it's 100% the team. Like, even when we're focusing on one big-time player in the game, everyone's listening, everyone's locked in because they're basically guarding him and help side as well. So it's more of a team defensive thing, and that's what we did, especially Martin helping me on the ball screens with Baldwin. That could be tough, and he was there every time. So it's definitely a huge thing to realize, and it definitely helped us in the second half, even though we, dropped it a few times, but we were definitely there.
Go ahead.
I guess on the ball screens, I guess, it's tough because you make that play and then you're in rotation the rest of the way. But how key is what you and Martin were able to do, whether it was on Thompson or Baldwin, to get the ball out of their hands and away from the three-point line and kind of throw their offense kind of out of sync for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Martin is basically my anchor. Like, he's let me know everything. And the bigs and the help side is the reason why we can come up with plays, honestly, because they see everything. And, with their help and coming off, it's huge for our defense and what we're trying to do.
Davion, you guys have been working so hard defensively on all these little things, and for it to finally see the result, what's it mean to this group to actually put together a game like that after you guys have been working so hard to make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, like Coach said, we were careless with the ball, especially myself tonight. We didn't really shoot it well, and like that's become typical. I mean, when we play Butler, but we basically see that the hustle plays and defensive principles is what won us this game tonight. If you look at the stat sheet, it shows that defense and hustle plays is what kept us in this game. So when you're practicing that, it's huge to see that the coaches was exactly right, and what we did got us a win.
Two more for the student athletes.
Tyshawn, I mean, it sounds simple. The ball's loose, get on the floor, but what can you take us through the process of just sort of where it becomes instinctive instead of it not happening? I guess, like what clicks for you?
Pretty much in practice, we constantly do a drill where Coach Mack could just roll the ball on the floor, and all of us have to dive and go get it. Sometimes we hit heads. some people try to move their heads out the way, and they got to go get on the sideline and do a lot more than what we're doing in practice right now. So it's pretty much, it's a thought, it's like a reminder in our head. If that ball is on the floor and they're standing up, you have to get down and get it. We're always going to be the first one on the floors.
When you see, I guess, the result of it, how much energy it gives you guys? Because, I mean, normally, I guess, maybe the open three would be something you guys would get a lot of energy from, or the alley-oop, the flip up to Martine, but when you see how much energy taking the ball away from somebody and making a toughness play like that, and how it affects winning, do you think that's something that's contagious going forward, that can be part of your DNA on the defensive end?
Yeah, it's huge. It brings us energy, just like on the offensive side, just like you said it, and it just makes us want to become even more, like just be even more hungry than being on the offensive side, because defense is always first, and offense, we're going to sit there and let that flow. As long as we're always on the first one on the floor, and the offense is just going to come to us.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Questions for Coach?
When you see those type of plays happening in games now, after you've been drilling them, like, what do you see in terms of how it's starting to become more of a habit?
Yeah, I mean, you hope that they have that ingrained in them before they get here. But some guys need a reminder, and sometimes a size 15 in practice. If they don't do it, takes care of that. So we've had to focus on it a little bit more, and spend time on it. And as we get better at it, then we can spend our time on things that could be more productive than spending time diving on the floor with loose balls banging each other in the head. So. It's been better. It was better against Georgetown. It was better tonight. We watched the film of our last game against Butler, and they were the first to the floor. They played. They were coming off a home loss, and they played with a laser-sharp focus, and we needed to have that tonight, and we did.
Can you take us through the decision-making process of, like, all right, we got to do these drill? I mean, I guess first off, have you had a team that you've had to drill that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you do this long enough, you have a little bit of everything, right. And I've done it long enough.
But do you
you
kind of deliberating a little bit? It's like, do we have to do a lot of this, or when?
You have to do it. You have to do enough of it till it's corrected.
Yeah.
And and we've talked to the team during that stretch when we weren't. And I have a problem with people calling my team soft. I don't. We're not a soft team. These guys are not soft. You don't get to this level being soft. They may make some soft plays once in a while, but to insinuate that these guys are soft is ridiculous. And if anybody that's ever played the game and understands the work that it takes to get to this level, there's no softness involved. Now, do we revert back to maybe a bad habit and we don't make a tough play every time? That's my job to try to correct that, and that's what we've attempted to do in practice. But I would never call my team soft, and we make soft plays, and when we make soft plays, we watch them on film and we create drills to try to correct them, and that's our job as a coaching staff.
Even though I suppose Baldwin's efficiency probably looks good, it seemed like your intention of kind of swarming him, he really wasn't able to create much elsewhere, and I didn't know if that was sort of a game tactic.
Yeah, he really hurt us in Indianapolis, and we thought we could guard him one-on-one and maybe stay a little closer on the ball screens and help, and he picked us apart with the pass and the shot there. So we decided to go after him, and our home crowd really helps energize us defensively. There was a lot of emotion in the building tonight, and that certainly helped our defensive effort. But he's a terrific player, and when you're going to sell out on a guy like that on a ball screen, it shows the level of respect that you have for him.
What do you think about Martine's effort tonight? Because he had to cover a lot of ground.
He's been a little sore the last few days. We've had to be careful in practice, especially yesterday, and we're going to have to manage that here the next 6 weeks. But he's, energy-wise, and a couple of block shots and chain shots that he had at the rim, and what he's doing on those ball screens, what they're referring to about getting out there and double teaming that ball screen, sliding your feet, keeping your hands back. there aren't many big guys his size that can do that, and that takes an incredible amount of energy because once that play's over, you have to sprint all the way back to the rim, which is 30 feet, 40 feet to get back there. So it's very tiresome to do that. He was terrific tonight. He made some big baskets, and defensively, I was our anchor back there.
It probably relates a little bit to hustle, but your guys' rebounding. I mean, Marcus had 6 and Ballack had 7. I mean, Vince had 6. They seem to really attack it. Like they'd be in spots where it could have gone either way.
That's the other thing we've worked on. Besides some of the loose balls plays, we're letting people come to us on the offensive glass instead of going to them with a blockout. And the last couple of games we've been called for a couple fouls on a blockout, which I'm fine with. That means we're going to hit somebody. And so some of the things we've worked on and we've emphasized that we feel like we need to get better at. We're moving the right direction. My guess is our defensive rebounding percentage was pretty good tonight. It was over 80% against Georgetown, who's incredibly long. So we're moving the right direction.
What did you do defensively against Jorgensen and Tucker to make sure they didn't show you?
We were tried it there on the catch. I think Jorgensen, when I look at the film, I think of his 9 misses, I think 4 of them he probably just missed. The other ones I think were there with a pretty good challenge. But Tucker and McDermott, you have to respect their range so much that it pulls you so far away from the basket. So we just tried to really be there on the catch. We jump switched a few things. And, a couple of the plays that we knew were coming, our guys were able to settle in and defend them really well.
Talk about what Davion's been able to give you guys on the offensive end, especially with being able to kind of move over to the off guard and how that's been able to.
Yeah, I told him walking in the hallway on the way down there, I'm just really proud of how hard he's playing. He's guarding the other team's best player, and he's shooting the basketball better, picking his spots. He's really elevated his play during conference play, and it's not easy to move a guy position-wise 2.5 years into his career and have him accept it, but he's embraced the role. He understands why we have to do it right now, especially when we're as thin on the bench as we've been. But he's been terrific.
2 more for Coach.
Can you talk on just the resiliency of the team, kind of snapping that 4-game skid and now putting up back-to-back wins?
Yeah, I'm proud of them. It's not easy when you're in the middle of one of those skids. Everybody's quick to point out what's going wrong, and the reality of it is we know that better than anybody on the outside. And maybe your motivation level to come to work and do the things you have to do on practice isn't as high as it needs to be. But to these guys' credit, as I said when we were going through this, there's been no finger pointing at one another, at us at them. We're in this together. We lost 4 games in a row together. Now we've won 2 in a row together, and we're going to move forward. But tonight, our bench didn't play a ton, but Connor Castro goes in at a critical time with Mitch's 4 fouls, and he takes a charge. Sam gets us a big basket. Christian goes in, makes hustle plays. Caleb hits a huge 3 when they kind of got it back to 6, takes it back to 9. So, while they're not playing a bunch of minutes, they're very valuable to what's going on.
Talk on the pink out game tonight. I know it means a lot to you, and just to see the crowd out there.
It continues to amaze me, and we've got some ladies here from the Coaches versus Cancer National Office that came to see it in person for the first time. It's the crown jewel of these events across the country, and we have a very committed committee that started this 9 years ago when we brought this idea to them. We have 2 competing hospitals in town, in CHI Health and Methodist, that made the commitment to work together. I don't see them sharing any billboards around town or sharing any newspaper be on the back of this
right
T-shirt to each other to make us mad, but they're willing to. We're working together to try to raise funds to put an end to this disease, and we're working together to raise cancer awareness and the need for early detection in the fight against cancer. So I say it every year, but it's I get goosebumps every time I come through that tunnel and I see all the pink. It's become a can't miss event for our fans. I think there are people that come back every year from out of town just to this game because everybody in those stands cancer has impacted them in one way or another, and there's a flood of memories to the people that we've lost to the disease, and there's a ton of pride and also things you go back to think about the time when your family went through it, and we're blessed that Teresa's still with us, but you remember what you went through. and what a challenge it was, and how thankful you are that they're here. But our community has embraced it. We had 2 radio stations that did their shows at the Hope Lodge today. They brought in a bunch of supplies. We raised some money there. We need to continue to find ways to end this disease, but at the same time, let's do everything we can to help people that are impacted by it. And the Hope Lodge is doing that. It's a place for them to stay, the people that don't live in our community, that need the quality care that we have in our community. The last thing they need to worry about is, where am I going to stay and how am I going to afford it? And the Hope Lodge has given us an unbelievable facility to do that. So incredibly proud of the work that people have done. Incredibly appreciative of the sponsors that have allowed us to do this. And seeing these pink shirts around town the rest of the year is pretty cool. So it's we checked another one off the list, and as I told Natalie from Coaches versus Cancer, what I'd love for people to do across the country is copy what we're doing, and let's try to get these popping up all over the place, so that during this week, every time you turn on a game, you see what we saw out there tonight. And we were the only college game on TV at 7:30 tonight. I think the last other one started at 6. So anybody that turned on college basketball, they had to probably stand back from their TV and wonder what they were seeing. And that's due to the work of a lot of committed people and a community that when they put their mind to something, anything's possible.
I guess not what it's about, but I mean, when you see your players get to experience that, especially the ones that are doing it for the first time, what do you think?
Well,
it shows them about, like, having something. They're there to play a basketball game, but they also see that there's people there that are there for maybe a different reason. It's bigger.
Well, one of them yesterday told me these pink shoes kind of hurt my feet. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, do you understand what someone that's battling cancer goes through? Do you understand what chemotherapy does to a person, and what that does to their children and to their spouse and to their parents, and how difficult that is? And so, we have Christian, whose mom's a breast cancer survivor. Jordan Scurry's mom, Maria, is a breast cancer survivor. So we have a couple families that have been hit head on with it. Obviously, Steve Pivovar, who's a great friend of all of ours, that we lost a few years ago to the disease. Julie Moore just passed away. She's a great Creighton fan, a longtime teacher in this community, who I got to know. Her vigil was tonight while the game was going on, was her wake, and she would have been incredibly proud. She was one of the people 3 years ago that Isaiah Zierden wore her name and took pictures with her after the game, and she battled it for 4 years and lost the battle, but lost it with an incredible fight. So it's for people like that and families like those that we do what we do, and you feel great about doing it. And there's going to be somebody else. There'll be another story like that a year from now, and we need to get to the point where those stories come to an end. Thanks.